All right, ladies and gentlemen, traders, welcome back to another Relentless recap. Guys, rough one today. Took a trip to the depths. Had to take a trip to the depths today to wake myself up, really, because today's trading was not impressive. And the worst thing that I did today was to push forward in a market where I had no edge. My breakouts weren't working. My dips weren't working. And instead of shutting it down like I should have and sticking to my plan that I had at the beginning of this month, what did I do? I told myself in my head, hey, being down 800 bucks, this is nothing for you but a scratch trade. Keep going. You're gonna make this back on the next move up. And fooled me once, fooled me twice, fooled me a third time. At that point, shame on me. Stock OCTO, man. Stock OCTO. No edge here for me when it comes to the breakouts and the dips. Now, you might say, well, Relentless, there's always going to be an opportunity. And you can say so, that is true. But you got to also know when to walk away and ease off, because this thing, the pre-market chart was decent, but coming into the open, we had this range where we would pop up and then kind of give back all of our gains. Pop up, give back all of our gains. So a lot of the times I'm buying for that 40-50% retracement, even 60% at times. But the pullbacks are coming right back to low of day. We go from a low of 410 to a high of 440. You think, hey, the pullback might hold low 30s, mid 20s, high 20s, even maybe low 20s. Nope, pullback is coming down to a low of $4. And so if you are anticipating these low of day dips, well, you're capturing the trades perfectly, right? So I got stopped out a number of times, and essentially today was a day for me that was like death by 1,000 cuts. Slowly bleeding out. $100, $200, $50, $80. Opportunity is gonna cost right here. I'm watching a different stock as this move happens, and I can pull up the level 2 here so we can look at what the breakout did look like. This type of stock really is the type of stock to be in low and just holding longer for a few minutes. The breakouts would grind higher slowly, so we wouldn't really get that acceleration, right? So I'm watching MSGM at this time, kind of dabbling there with some shares, and let's see here. So you can see MSGM I was kind of taking a look at here, but in that time, so we're gonna push over 414 right here, right at the VWAP. And this is where this thing is going to really start to take off. And note that over here, the high of the flag, which was about 99, note this bottoming wick candlestick. These candlesticks like this are very tricky because you can get chopped out trying to buy that break over the level. But again, the extended lower dips. So right here below low of day at the time for the open, buying down here would have resulted into that winning trade again, right? So those overextended dips, sometimes they're hard to predict, especially in markets where you're used to getting that 40-50% retracement. So what I've done in the past when dips haven't been working is to just stay away altogether. I could look for just low of day dips only, but I think tomorrow I'm going to size down a little bit and perhaps maybe just avoid some of these dip trades, because it's not making sense trying to take the dip a little higher and us getting flushed out. So right here over 14 again, even if I'm watching break of VWAP, let's say for a breakout trade in this situation, it's not the instant move that the candle showed. Not up until like 40 50s where it really kind of skipped in the price and jumped. You can see it's like a gradual increase. So the quick scalps being in and out for a few seconds, 2 3 4 seconds, is not going to work even on a move up like this, not unless we're in and just holding. So there's the jump. So right here, unless I would have like took this at like 40, it's kind of a lot more difficult to capture this jump. So I would have to been in at 40 to capture this move up to 80, 75, 80. But from 14, it's about a 30-second move, right? Starting right about now, we push over the level. We can see we're up to 20. We're back down to 12. We're back at 20 right here again. There's a bit of a churn at 20. We can see green, red printing here. It's not quite ripping through yet. Okay, there we go. Now it gets up to 30. So a bit of a churn from the move to 14. From 30, we pull back to 25. and then we kind of inch up to 35, and right here from 40s we're going to get that jump 45. So again, you have to be holding a cool 25, 30 seconds, 40 seconds plus, which for me in a breakout scenario is just never going to really happen, because initially, what a breakout trade is buying a stock where it's somewhat high, and it's breakout or bailout, right? Now, where I can hold the stock longer is on a dip trade, but in a situation like this, again, you know, besides this red candle right here, that's gonna come. This is the only pullback that it really gave, but after breaking over the high of the flag at the whole dollar, 98, whatever this high point was. So if I'm not in at the low of this move, or at the very least the low of this pullback, retesting the high of this flag, there's no way that I'm gonna be in there holding 30, 40 seconds on a breakout trade. It's just not the style of trading that I do, right? It's just not the style. So on a stock like this, right, for example, MSGM, this is a trade where I'm more likely to hold for a little longer, let's say 10, 15, 20 seconds for a potential move up, right? So, I'm in there on a trade on a bit of a lower entry, and this is where I can give the stock a little bit of time to see if it does want to curl up or not. But if I'm buying this up at 65, which I think the high was 60, yeah, about 65 coming across, there's no such thing as holding this. This is just not what the strategy is. Can I do it? Of course, you can do anything you want to do, but that's not what the strategy is. So some trades are going to be in and out very quickly, depending on the type of trade it is, depending on the fill. Any high fill trades, we want to be out right away, but we got caught in a lot of flushes throughout the earlier part of the day. Just kind of coming back at some of these areas. So let's see here. So in on this particular entry, we're in at 25, well, 29. The low's around 25 here. This is a fairly decent fill. And we can see the churn right here, the churn. So a lot of times usually when this level of red is printing on the tape, we're going to see either a retest of the lows or a new low before the stock curls up. Typically, once we start to bottom out, we're seeing a lot of quicker bounces. So like right here, I'm unwinding the trade, and I'm telling myself, okay, let's see if it does come down for that, what I like to call is a I'm forgetting the word. But anyhow, let's just say a lower entry. But that red on the tape, man, that red on the tape, that red. So again, the red just printing on the tape here, printing, printing, printing. And these are the situations where we can see sometimes a big flush out. But I do think so far I could have potentially been a little bit more aggressive to be back in 26. But looking back at the video here, it seems like part of me was thinking it would have come down a little bit more for this amount of selling that we were seeing, right? But it's pretty quick. Once it gets below 25, it starts to bounce. So, right there, 25 is where I should have been punching it to try to get back in. Trades like this could potentially, be a little faster to get the couple cents. But so, and this is the initial instinct, right? It's like, okay, we're seeing so much red, we might come down. So right here, I wait for that bigger dip, which I think is going to hold here 18. I think at the time, the 5-minute chart is looking pretty decent. I'm in, but then even this dip starts to dip some more. And so I'm trying to keep the stop tight. Okay, I'm in at 19. Support, if I thought support might have been below 25, we're at 19, I'm long. I don't want to be seeing anything too much below my entry. So in a situation like this, as the red starts to print, I'm cutting the trade again. And we can see it comes all the way down to 05 right there, right? So this is a lot of what was kind of happening today. Looking for that tight 1-minute bull flag to hold, consolidate, potentially make the new high. But then it doesn't quite hold up, and then, you kind of get caught. So let's see here again. How did this one play out? So let's see. We had a high of 45. let's skip ahead a little bit. I think where did I buy? Let's see. So high 45. I'm going to jump in here around 20, it looks like. Around 22, 23. Well, 24 fill. And depths once again. It's going to come down, and it's like, are you kidding me, right? So very similar to the last setup where, and my criteria for getting in on a dip is very simple. It's been pretty true for, over the course of the years. But again, these pullbacks that are retracing the entire move is what's really getting me. So this one ended up coming down to VWAP from a high of 40. But, VWAP at this point is at 14. No strong stock should go in terms of, what this has been giving and the range that it's in. If we go from 4 to 440, why are we coming back down to 414 before bouncing up? So, the stocks can have these bigger range. They can be a little irrational to the downside, to the upside. There'll be days where we see some crazy stuff, right? I mean, I've seen a stock go from 4 to 65, honestly, without giving a red candle. So sometimes, I wish I remember the name of that stock. Sometimes there's going to be some madness, right? And I think that might have been a red candle on the 5. Sometimes there's going to be some madness, but, you got to be able to adjust quickly. And something that I fought very hard to not do was to size up, because at some point you're thinking, okay, all I gotta do is connect with some size once this thing does start to move properly, and then I'll be right back where I need to be. But if the stock has been choppy, then you can get yourself in trouble if you're just hitting inconsistent trades. So right here I'm gonna get caught again. So we give this huge move, and the candlestick pulls back so much. So I was watching something else here. Look at this move, right? So we get the move up there to 75, 80. And so right here, 86, potential halt up. All right, cool. I'm not going to be buying it here. This is just, way too extended, whatever. Can I get the dip and rip on the resumption? It ends up being a false halt. Again, we went from 14 to 86. Right? Look at how much this is going to pull back here. It dropped. It actually was the low 11. Hold up. I'm going to try it around the $0.50 area here. And this thing ended up going down to 11. So I'm in. How well are we going to continue to hold the $0.50? Perhaps try again for 60. There's a lot of churn. So I end up cutting the trade tight. And look at this. And I think, again, these overextended dips right here, all the way down to 13, 14. This overextended dip is the dip I have to take. Now, the issue that I've been having is that in this type of situation, the chart starts to look so weak. And it's like, man, this thing is kind of looking like no man's land. But remember, again, when we do go from such a high place and drop down so quickly, there's usually going to be some sort of a bounce. But, when I'm doing my best is when this type of stock pulls back to 50, 40, and then continues going. This type of drop right here, I'm a little sketched out, so I don't jump in right away. But then what it does do over the next couple of minutes is that it starts to give higher lows. So when I see this, at the time our 5-minute chart looks pretty bullish again, I'm like, okay, I don't mind taking the next pullback. Then the next pullback comes right here. I'm going to jump in. Let's see. I'm going to get blazed. Hold up. I'm going to get blazed here. So we have this initial bottoming wick. And then I'm going to try again right here. I'm going to try again, kind of like watching for this, this area above VWAP around 20, 22 to hold. And I'm in a little higher here. It pulls back again. So again, another paper cut, like $100 loss. I'm like, okay, our chart on the 5 is still looking good. I might try again here, low teens, or let's say high teens. And then I'm gonna get blazed. The moment I'm in, this thing is down to 10. The liquidity in there just kind of vanishes. And this prevents me from getting out with a very tight stop. So right here, I'm like, okay, maybe 25 might have been a little high. We're right above the VWAP this time. Let's try it again. And this is me potentially, looking for the move back to 30, 35, 40. we're back down to 10, and it's like, geez, all right, I gotta cut this trade. So, just, and right here, I'm not selling it immediately because I'm like, okay, I think we're still in the support zone. But at this point, it's like, I gotta cut the trade. Below 10, it's like, okay, now this thing is just going to the depths. So from 86 to 11, we get higher lows right here, and we start to get a bit of a flag. Okay, our 5-minute chart is strong at the time when the candle closed, pretty bullish. I'm gonna try this retracement down at this retest of the VWAP level. That's what this trade basically is, despite having two or three entries. But from 18-20 area, we're down here at $4. That kind of like sums up the day. And then over here, so over on this side, let's see. Break, there's one area I could have done better was break of 38 right here. Right here I could have done better. So I at the time, like, can we see the 5-minute candle make the new high? And this trade again, the only thing is that it was a breakout trade. Now I did acknowledge the fact that the 5-minute chart was bullish in this movement, in this sequence here. We did have higher lows in the 5, and what I needed to do better was to be in lower on one of these bottoming wicks. But it's this kind of thing where the 5-minute setup just failed despite the chart looking good on that last move we went over. So I'm like, maybe a little bit of overcompensating and not giving it another chance. That's probably what it was. Like, okay, the 5-minute setup isn't working. I'm just gonna wait for the next breakout and try to catch the next big move up. So like opting to not even be aggressive here at all on these bottoming wicks. And then when the move does start to go, again, it was the type of stock that, it's like you had to be in for like 40 seconds, 30 seconds to really get the benefit of the move. So right here, the move has started. The volume picked up, and I'm kind of watching like, okay, what is it going to be? Are we going to see something? There's a 10,000 share seller. There is some green printing, but we're kind of churning. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to take a couple cents. Maybe this thing wants to come back down mid 30s again. Let me see what it wants to do. But again, it eats away at those sellers that was there. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to jump back in again as we pulled back right there. What's it gonna be? And you see how the volume like stalls out here for the retest at 50. So again, just so I'm gonna cut that trade scratch. It's just this thing where I'm looking for the breakout. My strategy is breakout or bail. It's like the stock kind of just didn't suit my style, let's say, right? So again, noticing that and just easing off. But my optimism is what really killed me here, because I'm like, at every turn, I'm like, oh, yeah, whatever, down 800. This is one good trade if this thing really opens up, and be the next stock that goes to like 15, $20. Well, what are the odds that this becomes the next stock that goes to $23, $25, right? It's very unlikely. Honestly, at this point, what's likely is a break of 50 and a flush back down to 4. So I can't let the optimism kill me. And so again, if I'm holding through and throughout this move, I'm in at 38 for the 5-minute candle to make a new high, and just waiting here. But I would have needed to really and truly be in at 25 and below, or at least somewhere there, to really be holding this thing longer for it to make sense for my style. The breakout trades that I do hold longer are breakouts that I'm in and it's just going right away, and it pulls away from my cost basis, which makes the trade more safe because we'll have to drop that much to be back flat or in the red. So by opting not to be aggressive down at the lows, and then this move coming up a little chunky, I describe this as like a trying to run with that bit of a parachute thing, like the thing that the athletes use, or let's just say jumping with ankle weights. Like you're trying to get your best vertical jump, but you have on ankle weights and a weighted vest. It's trying to fly, but it's just heavy as it gives the moves. And up here, it's a little too aggressive. I'm gonna end up trying a couple times at 80 for the continued breakout, which at this point is just a terrible trade because This thing is too extended. Like, again, what are the odds that this is another one of those stocks that just goes up to 5 and then 550, 6 at the halt up 520? It's just not likely. And we went from 20, so I have to remind myself high or low. We went from 20 to 80. This is just too much of a move without a dip, and so the risk is too high. What are the odds that this really goes to 520 without giving a pullback? It's too risky. So getting this loss right here at the highs is like asking for it. You just gotta wait for the bigger pullback. So again, the pullback here a little high, right? Just gotta wait for the bigger pullback. So right there, 40 below 50, a little bit of a better area to try. I mean, there was a pretty big spread. I don't know where I would have gotten filled, but I think that would have been a better trade than to try like above 50 right there, which is just too high for the move, especially since we've been proven that we're giving huge pullbacks throughout the entire day. So that's what today was, like just paper, you can see my P&L on this thing. Paper cuts, paper cuts, paper cuts, red, green, green, well, not red, green, but, down like 600. Okay, we got it back to 3, but then paper cuts, 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 paper cuts. Never really one massive loss, but just a series of just smaller losses that added up. So the moral of the story here is that if my edge is not working super well on a stock, to just shut it down, leave. We don't need to be big green every day, right? Which is what we already established at the beginning of this month. Being like February, if I pull up my calendar here, February is a true testament to, like, you don't need to be perfect. So even if today's a red day of like $300, let's say, right? Let's look at February of this year here. So there's red days sprinkled all throughout the month. Red days, red day, red day, red day, red day, red day, red day. Red days sprinkled throughout the month, right? May, another month where there's red days in the very beginning. And these red days, look at the size of these red days. So this is the key, right? Can we avoid these days like this? This is a day like today, 1900. 2300, 2900. If you avoid it, because it is, sometimes I will say sometimes you can get caught into a halt down pretty early, things like that, whatever. But for a day like today where it's like paper cuts, like there's no reason why I should keep going when I notice that the strategy is not having a good time, right? It's not a smooth experience. Hey, shut it down, come back later. The stock yesterday was a much better stock than the stock today, right? Yesterday was more of the day to like really try for it, but today it's like, yo, this thing just has no, this thing is just not the stock, right? Accuracy is pretty poor. Accuracy is pretty poor here. There's no need to push it. Come on. Yeah, there's no need to push it. There's no need to be down 1800 when we could have had a red day of 300, shut things down early in the first 40 minutes, like we've been doing earlier this month, which is why our red days for the first 2 weeks have been so tight, right? 591 bucks. It's like this is not even a red day, right? All right, we were green, things got a little choppy. Hey, that's it. Not giving ourselves a chance to go into the gallows, brother, because the thing is, that I have to remind myself, not because I can afford this means that I should be down this amount. That's the key for me. Like, can I be down 1800? Yeah, but why? Do I need to be down 1800? No. The answer is no. It's simple. The answer is no. There's no need for me to give back Monday's gains over 2 days to be satisfied, right? I don't need to give back Monday's gain for 2 days in a row to hit 1800 red to feel satisfied that I need to stop on the day. So, and look at the accuracy here, just miserable, right? 1330, like, bro, the first 30 minutes of this day, I need to go back, slap myself 2 times and say shut it down. Like, that's the biggest adjustment here. Like, there is no edge for what you're looking for on this particular move. Why am I fighting against the stock to be green? Like, bro, just get the hell out of here. Take a small red day, which is like a slap on the fingernail, and then come back, right? So, gotta get back to being more tight. and walking away when stocks are not working, because we know when stocks are working, when stocks are working, when the move is linear and predictable. We see more days like the 17th. We see more 1K days, right? We come back to earlier into this year. Um, you see more days like this when the momentum is a little bit more linear, right? Cleaner days. Um, I mean, February, when the momentum is hot in a month like February, you know exactly what to expect, right? Multiple days of 5 figures, right? This is what we can expect when the momentum is extremely hot. When it's not, just keep it cool, keep it low. Who cares if the day is small red? Who cares if the day is flat? Who cares if the day is plus 200, right? You don't need to be up 10, 15, 50, 100 million in a day, every day. Ease and press. Ease and press. When to, when not to. Be aggressive, don't be aggressive. Trade all day till 6 p.m., shut it down in the first 30 minutes. It's as simple as that. It's not rocket science, but we'll make it so if we're not disciplined, so we know what we got to do moving forward. Hit that thumbs up. Check out those links down below for MMU. Check out those links down below for the Discord, the chat room, and the scanning software that we use here. All right. It's been the Pastor. It's been Relentless Trader. Hit that thumbs up, and I'm out. I'm out like salt. Catch you guys later. Gotta get to the bag and get to the bag with more discipline.